Yo, what is up guys, welcome back to another video of FineResolve. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing my experience with the Sony A6400. So before we start into the video, I'm going to give a bit of a quick review of what I'm using right now. I'm using the Sony A6400 with the Sony 28mm f2, which is converted to kind of like a 42mm f2.8 APS-C standards. And I used the HLG3 color profile and +7 saturation and graded with the leaning LED. So that's it for what I'm using right now. So I'm not going to be showing you the product, but I have the box right here because I'm actually using the Sony A6400 as my main camera right now. So let's get right into the video. So this video is not going to be a review, nor is it a product overview. It's just merely a showcase of my experience. So I'm going to be telling you guys what I like about the camera and what I don't like about the camera, and should you buy it or not. Let's get right into it. So first of all, let's start with what I like about this camera. This camera has a very good form factor. I love it so much. It's small, it's compact, yet it packs a punch. It packs that nice, soft, and vibrant colors. I love the colors. I don't love the colors, but I love the look of the Sony cameras. They produce this kind of like a soft image, yet sharp image. I don't know how that works, but it's sharp, it's detailed, but it looks glowy and soft and pleasing to look to the eyes. If you can see right now, this is what it looks like. I like the highlight roll off. I like just the smoothness of the video. Even though it's detailed, it's still very smooth, and that's what I appreciate of Sony cameras and the A6400 also in general. So next up, the ISO range. This thing can shoot low light like a beast, and Sony cameras typically do good in low light, and this one doesn't fall short on that kind of segment either. It is expandable from 100 ISO to 3200 ISO, but you have to keep in mind that as log, you kind of have to bump up the ISO a bit because that's the minimum ISO range. But yeah, this is really good in low light performance as with more Sony cameras. Moving on to the next thing I like, and what I found that I enjoyed most using this camera for the past month is the hybrid phase and contrast detection autofocus, the 425 AF points autofocus. It's godly. Like guys, I'm not joking about how good this is. It's really good. I mean, I've never missed a single anything with this. It's just fast. It's probably the fastest out of all cameras, all Sony cameras and all cameras probably. The only thing that matches this autofocus is the Sony A6100 and the Sony A6600, which is the brothers and sisters, whatever. But they're all in the same like Sony A6000 newer versions, and they are crazy in autofocus. They're even better than the A7 III, I believe. And yeah, the autofocus is good. The image quality is really good. The build quality is good, and the form factor is good. What else is good? The lens compatibility. So Sony lenses, what I like about Sony lenses is they don't separate their APS-C and their full frame lenses. Like the EOS R and the EOS M, they have different lenses, and the EOS EF, EFS, and EFM. There's a lot of lenses out there, and even the full frame Panasonic S1H and the GH5 have different mounts as well. They're just complicated, but with Sony, you have one and one only, the E-mount lens, and you can put it in the APS-C and the full frame, whatever you want, even in the FS7 and FS9. And that's what I like about Sony cameras, is their ecosystem is quite good. Their lens compatibility is really good. The only thing I don't like about the lens is what I'm going to be talking about later on, but there is a gripe about these lenses. But overall, I love the lens compatibility. And also, I find that the no recording limit is a bless for me. I like to record 30-minute videos, usually like podcasts and stuff, and I like to shoot in 4K. It's crazy, guys. This has no limits in recording, and that's what I like most about the Sony A6400. I really can crank it all the way up to 4K 100 megabits per second. It won't stop. As long as you record in a cold room, it can go for hours and hours and hours, as long as you have the battery and as long as you have the memory for that. And I love that. I love the no limit recording so much. And moving on with the advantages, again, there's a lot of advantages, guys. The 4K. I've never shot 4K my whole life, and I think I've jumped in the right camera if I want to shoot 4K, because they don't have additional crops or whatever, because they shoot in 6K but downsampled to 4K. That's why there's no crop. So it's basically a crop 6K, which is a 4K, which is what people should do. Like, I don't want 4K cropped. I don't want that. I want 4K normal sized APS-C kind of frame. It's really good. But the main issue I have, okay, I'm just gonna talk about the issue later on, but basically, again, there's an issue with the 4K that I don't like. But yeah, basically the 4K is really good. Autofocus works well in 4K, not like the Canon cameras. it's just a bless to have this camera, honestly. And there are a lot of more good things about this camera that I like, but that's basically the main features I like about this camera. The main things: the good autofocus, the good build quality, the good image quality, the flip screen. Also, I forgot to mention that I love the flip screen, and it has a mic jack, it has good lens compatibility, and that's everything I want. No recording limit, and it's a perfect online video camera for me. So let's get into the disadvantages, because there is of course downsides to every good, even with this camera. So the first downside is there is no image stabilization. So I know that this is a cheaper camera, but I think some image stabilization will be kind of good. I don't care if you bump up a bit of the price, but image stabilization will be good. And I know people who complain about, oh, you can just use gimbals and stuff, but I prefer handheld sometimes because it gives that nice like smooth movement. But again, I can't use handheld with this because my lens also doesn't have OSS, so it's kind of a pain to use this as a kind of handheld camera. So that's not a big issue, but I think that's the one that Sony should kind of implement to all their cameras. Image stabilization, it's not really a big deal though. Second of all, I mentioned just now that the lens compatibility is really nice, but I also mentioned that there is some downsides to the lens compatibility. So it's not that the compatibility is bad, it's just the lenses are so expensive. And as a creator, as a small creator, I don't have the money to splurge on expensive lenses, especially the Sony lenses. I'm blessed, I have a cousin that owns a lot of Sony lenses and I can borrow his Sony lenses, but without him, I probably don't have any lens right now because I bought this body only and I just don't have the money to splurge on Sony lenses because they're just super expensive. But on the upside though, it's really good quality. Moving on to more disadvantages, I mentioned just now again that the 4K is really fantastic in this camera, but the 4K does have a minor downside that really is not that kind of frustrating. It's the 4K 30p. With 4K 30p, if you want to shoot in 60 megabits or 100 megabits per second, it's cropped. I mean, it's cropped. It's more cropped than APS-C, and I don't know why. I don't know why. If it's 24p, it shoots normally, but in 30p, it shoots cropped. And I want 30p usually in my videos, but if I can't do it, if I have to have cropped, I'd rather shoot with 24p. Sometimes even more cinematic with 24p, but with talking head videos, I prefer 30p actually than 24p. Another downside of the Sony cameras is that they have bad batteries. Yeah, I don't know why the Sony A6400 still uses the same battery as the previous generation's one, although the A6400 has the better battery, the superior battery. I don't know why the A6400 still use that old crappy battery, but good thing Sony still allows for charging whilst recording, and that's kind of the savior of why I still bought this camera even though the battery's bad. I know you can buy battery grips and stuff, but it's just like not practical and stuff. Yeah, battery's not that good, but as I said before, all these downsides are actually not frustrating to me. These are downsides that I have to be nitpicking a lot, and I have to be sort of really just picking for things that I don't like about this, even though I like everything about this. So everything that I mentioned before, the downsides are super nitpicky, and you should not like hinder from buying this because of my downsides, because these are subjective, and of course those are also, as I said before, very nitpicky. So yeah, I think that's it for all the downsides. There really isn't too much downside of this camera. It's really good. There is one more downside, however, and this is not only for the A6400 but also for other Sony cameras, is that they only record in 8-bit. 8-bit. And I don't know why. I think it's to kind of save up on money. I really don't know why they put only 8-bit. I'd rather prefer 10-bit 422 or 420. I don't care. At least it's 10-bit and not 8-bit because I like that nice color conversion if I use the 10-bit. So I really don't know why they put 8-bit. And so I'm not using S-Log right now because S-Log and 8-bit is just chaos. But S-Log and HLG and 8-bit is still quite better. Although I would prefer Cine with 8-bit, but then the dynamic range is kind of bad. But yeah, I don't know why they use 8-bit, but that's for all Sony mirrorless cameras. But yeah, that's just another kind of gripe about this camera. But yeah, that's it for today's. But yeah, that's it for everything that I want to discuss about this camera. I would say that all the advantages crush the disadvantages. They just wipe the disadvantages off the floor. I love this camera a lot. This camera is my first kind of semi-pro camera. Not really semi-pro, but it can be used as pro camera. it's a fantastic camera. I love this so much. I love this so much, and I won't buy anything else other than this because it's a perfect online video creator camera. For my use case, this is the best camera that I could have bought for the money, and I already have a lens like this, and yeah, it's just perfect. The downsides for me is not too much of a hassle. I love this so much that the disadvantages kind of just doesn't really matter. As I said before, again, the disadvantages are so nitpicky and the advantages are not nitpicky. And yeah, I think I rambled too much in this video, but yeah, I really want to open my heart out on this camera because this camera is really good. It really is one of the best budget cameras right now, one of the best APS-C size cameras right now, and yeah, I can be happier with my purchase. Thank you guys for watching this video, and if you ask me, will I recommend this to you guys, for beginners and even semi-professionals, I will definitely recommend this to you guys. This is a hell of a camera, and I can't recommend this more to anyone. So yeah, this is for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you find this video useful for your purchase on the Sony A6400. That's it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Peace out.